She comes home, turns the lights on with a hand that hasn't been held by anyone honest in a long time. She heads to the kitchen and puts her anxiety in a wine glass. She reaches into the fridge for a Tupperware of day-old guilt and tosses it in the microwave. There's Netflix playing on the television, an episode that she's seen before. It makes her feel familiar. She tends to cling to what's familiar. Then there's last weekend's outfit in the corner of the room, with shame still tucked in its pockets. She removes her work clothes slowly, her muscles sore, her breathing intervals increase, her eyes chase the floor, and her mind goes dark for a second. Then she's back to changing out of her work clothes. She tosses them in the same corner, unbothered by the buildup of laundry that smelled like depression, because touching it means acknowledging it, and acknowledging depression means that there's something wrong. But she'll never tell you when there's something wrong. She likes to stick to her bucket list of adventures that make her feel alive, even though she knows a percentage of herself is dormant. Like a virus flowing through her bloodstream, waiting for a weak moment to shut everything down. There's nothing wrong, she says, but there's still last weekend's outfit in the corner of the room, with shame still tucked in its pockets. There's fear stained on the sleeves, there's echoing voices within the threads holding together a shirt that someone else pulled off her body, someone else tugged on the fabric that covered her skin, that now crawls upon her flesh, covered in bruises that resemble hand marks by someone who she can't remember. There's bruises that riddle her arms and her waist. There's a small bruise underneath. She races back to her mind, back and forth, but she can't see. How do you determine fight or flight when there's no memory, but what else could it be? She says there has to be more, there has to be more, there had to be more, there had to be more. Incapacitated rape counts. And it murders the final touches of the story. Flip a movie from happy to horrific, so explicit I can't get into specifics. It burns the imagination and unwanted sensation that starts a wildfire across the mental spreads that trigger a plethora of possible answers and coats her being in a glaze that doesn't match her original soul. She turns to the mirror and shrugs. She puts on her pajamas and heads to bed. She sleeps. She's been sleeping a lot lately. She's been ignoring her phone a lot lately, telling people she's been tired a lot lately, not wanting to do anything a lot lately. Blackout rape is common. It's just one night out with a crew, just something to make the week, something to prove the absence of weak. Something that used to stress another body I can't remember, another body the morning we'll never meet, another body the next weekend we'll never see. She takes denial and wraps herself in it. Denial keeps her warm at night. Denial covers up her body the same way denial hides the presence of incapacitated rape stories. There's last weekend's outfit in the corner of the room, with shame still tucked in its pockets, but it leaves no name, no true recollection, just vibrations awakening the lingering presence of a wanted attention, signs of struggle, black and blue patches tagged on her skin like spray can bomb buildings, blackout junk activities, strike incapacitated movements, where violent stabs injecting mental instability into the actions that didn't come from a sober mind. There is no release for a memory that doesn't exist, for her sanity to even celebrate redemption. It's absolutely impossible, and at the end of the day, she's gonna go back home, turn on her light, pour her anxiety in a wine glass over and over and over again until the bruises fade away. And she tries to forget about what might have happened. She tries to forget about the messed up trivial games that she would play with her mirror, asking questions like, didn't you want this? Didn't you want to get drunk? Didn't you say you wanted to have fun? What do you mean you don't know who did this to you? And it doesn't get easier. Denial becomes her shadow in the real world. None of the mirrors she walks past shows her any mercy. They're loud with their questions. They still ask the same questions. And she never comes up with any answers. The same way we have trouble figuring out the reasons why people don't know when enough is enough. After we give them training after training to explain what isn't okay, as if the consequences seem to be just a matter of getting caught or reported, as if the mental instability that haunts victims doesn't exist. The same way we had trouble figuring out the mind of a rapist. The same way we never know when it's someone who stays close, someone you work with, one of your airmen. Until a victim comes forward, until that restricted report becomes unrestricted, until you find yourself in court hoping you did enough, hoping your subordinate isn't guilty. The best way to avoid trial is actually living out our core values. Excellence doesn't include harassment, and alcohol is never an excuse, so do what you need to do.
Yes, sir.
And the next time you think you're going to get lucky after someone cute has had a few drinks, or you see your friend stumbling just a little too much, consider this. If you look up women who committed suicide after incapacitated her name on one of the hyperlinks that live on the internet while she's dead because she knew that there had to be more.